Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Today's Monday. Hashem. Today we learn the ninth Perek of Basra. Tomorrow is the 10th and final Perek of Basra. We'll be starting Sanhedrin on Rosh Chodesh. Avalim the Tova. Today's shiur is Lili Nishma Sarah Nachman Simcha Poinu Shambar Chavish Shem Sabra Chasab Shmuel Leib and Binay Moshe Ben Yosef made the Nasham will have an Aliyah. First, then if you Sabra Chalei Rachab Zelda Rachab so okay, here we go. We're continuing with yesterday. We'll continue the Aleph. Me, both sons, not who are not yours. Hashem, starting the text today, really. Let's do this again. So when there are enough properties in the estate that there's enough for both the sons and the daughters to support themselves, then the sons are from them. Nechasin Moatim, the properties are few, and there's not enough panos, Yisonu, Vabanu, Yishalu, Al Psachim. And the daughters are supported from whatever funds are in the estate until they reach adulthood. And the sons have no choice but to go around to people's doors and beg for food and collect stuff. Adnon Omer Bishvil Shani Zacher Yisareti, but Amon, who's another Tana, he says, a son can claim, just because I am male, should I lose? Why should the sons who generally have stronger rights than daughters when it comes to inheritance have weaker rights in this case? Rather, Amon says that the halach is that when the estate is not large enough to support all the children until the daughters come of age, all of the children, sons and daughters alike, receive equal support from whatever properties are in the estate until there's nothing left. Nothing is set aside specifically for the daughters. For daughters to beg for food, it intended that the daughters should have greater rights in case where there's not. Amar Rabban Gamliel, Rava Ani is Amon. Rabban Gamliel said, "I see the words of Amon as being correct, despite the fact that Gamliel agreed with Amon. The halacha still follows the Tanakama, and the girls can support it, and the boys have to go out and either get a job or go collect money." Mishnah Beis. Sons and daughters and also child is much and so when there are many properties, the sons can push the tumtum toward the daughter to collect a share in a son prove that you're a male. Let's make it out of a right. Prove that you're a male, we'll give you a son's share. Rather, the tumtum receives only an allowance for support up to adulthood, like the daughter, she's gonna get at least that. If you want to be treated like a male, then prove that you're a male. The kid with dochos also eats zachar. Money is scarce. The daughters can push him toward the sons because he can't. So he goes to the tumtum. Unless the mechaber and we're back. Um, it's basically the tumtum um, gets the shorter end of the stick on both situations. If you can't enough to go around, then the daughters cannot claim they have a time that they cannot claim allowance. He has to go back with the sons. So he always gets the shorter end of the stick. The odds are not in his favor. Home or its favor. Tumtum. Home in Taylor East his wife was pregnant. He says to a boy, he should receive a mana. My property is a special gift. Yada zacher not amana. And if he indeed receives a Messiah, if the father uses as a special gift, he gave birth to a girl, she indeed receives two gifts. In zacher, my girl, she okay. So one of those crazy days we have multiple tech issues with the Zoom. So what are you gonna do? So if the father said um, that that, that he should get one mana if it's a boy and two mana if it's a girl. The other Zachar Unakiva, and she gave birth to both twins, a boy and a girl. Zachar not mana. Unakiva not tells my sign. And the boy receives a mana, and the girl receives 200, which is two manas. Both are but even if the father specified gifts for both a boy and a girl, if she gave birth to a tumtum, he does not receive anything because he is neither a male nor a female. Um, right. Imam Rakoma should tell Ishti Ito, Ito. However, if the father said that whatever child my wife bears to receive, then even the tumtum receives a gift. Yorish is a kol. And when there is everything, well, it's not his father or its father. Mishnah Gimel. If someone died and he left behind adult sons and minor sons, and the other divided. Whatever they have improved, whatever they have improved, it goes to the middle, meaning that the profits are shared equally by all the heirs. So even though the adult sons were the ones who went to the trouble of hiring the workers and getting the work done, we assume that they did this on behalf of the younger brothers as well. But if they said, see what property our father has left us, we are now going to work to improve its value and we will keep its profits. Then whatever they improve, they keep for themselves. they state that their intention is to work for themselves, the minor sons do not receive any share of the profit. So too, in the unusual case of a woman who inherits her husband's estate along with her sisters, who improve the properties using the funds of the undivided estate, ishbicha le'emsa. The halacha is that whatever she has improved goes to the middle and is shared by all the heirs equally. In this case, what my husband has left me, I'm now going to work to improve the estate's value, and I will keep the profits. Whatever she improves, she keeps for herself. These are still partners in their father's property, and they have not yet divided their father's estate. Illness, and it falls to one of them to perform work for the king, which was a very profitable job. Now for the EPSA, then the profit from the appointment falls to the middle, and all of the brothers share it equally. Since the king selected a member of the family for the job, because of the family rather than because of the brother, all the heirs are entitled to equal shares of the profit. If one of the brothers became ill because he did not take proper care of himself, and he is healed using funds from an undivided estate, this rabbi Mishal Asmam, he is healed from his own share. Since the illness is caused by his own negligence, the other brothers do not have to contribute to the cost of its cure, and is deducted from his share of the estate. If some of the brothers acted as groomsmen during their father's lifetime, meaning that one of the other brothers was sent by the father to act as a groomsman, and the father provided the money for the gifts that they gave. Chazra, Shushbanis, Chazra, when a groomsman's gift returns, when one of the brothers marries after the father's death, it returns to the middle and is shared equally by all the brothers rather than belong only to the brother who's getting married. Since the original groomsman's gifts were paid by the father, any returning gift becomes the property of the father's estate. But groomsmen's gifts are treated like loans, even to the extent that they can be collected in court. So we view the returning gifts as loans that are being repaid to the father, not as gifts to the brother getting married. If someone sends his fellow barrels of wine or oil on the occasion of his wedding, but does not celebrate with him at the wedding, or does not go to feast with him, these are not considered groomsmen's gifts. Ein nigbin bebeistin mipnei shehein gemilas chasadim, and they cannot be collected in court because this sort of gift is simply an act of chesed that is given without the intention that must be returned. The father such gifts his lifetime, and similar gifts are sent in return when one of the brothers marries after his father's death. The brother who's being married keeps them all for himself. Mishnah Hay. Hashaleach Shalach gift to his bride, to his father-in-law. And Lach is Shalach Sham Me'amana. If he sent even 100 manas worth of gifts, V'achal Sham Sudas close in the field the dinner. Then he went there on the day that he sent the gifts, and he gave a chassid's feast there that was worth at least one dinar. And the gifts cannot be collected. If for some reason the marriage is not completed and they break the engagement, since the chassan came and ate, instead of having a feast with his kala in his shver's house, we assume that due to the great joy he has while doing so, that he allows her to keep the gifts no matter what happens later. That's a broad assumption. consult the local Orthodox rabbi. Lo achal sham chassan, if he did not eat a chassan's feast over there, then the gifts can be collected from her if the marriage does not work out, because we assume that he intended for her to keep the gifts only if they would be married in the end. Shalach Selanas Merubah Shiyachzeru Ima Beves Bala. If he sent many gifts to her, but stay with her to her husband's house to be wants to get married, when she would undergo when they get married properly. Her Ela Nigban and they are collected from her if the marriage is not completed because he clearly intended for her to keep them only if they would get married. Sivlanas, Mawatan, Sheishtanish, Behembi, Besavia. On the other hand, if he sent her only a few kala gifts and stated that they were for her to use while in her father's house as an arusa, he clearly had no intention of getting them back. Ena Nigbin, they are not collected from her even if the marriage is canceled before they have been used up. Mishnah Vav. Someone who is seriously ill, he wrote a document giving all his properties to others. Shiur karka close to him, but he left over some land for himself. But nasa kayemes, then his gift remains valid even if he recovers from his illness. Since he does some property for himself, clearly he was not thinking that he would surely die. And we assume that he meant for the gift even if he were to survive. This is not considered a deathbed gift, and it works only if a kidney was made. Low shiur karga koshehu, but he did not leave over some land for himself, rather gave all his properties away, and his gift does not remain valid if he recovers. And he's really doing so only because he believes that he will not survive. That's a true deathbed gift. No kidney is required, and if he recovers, the properties remain his. Low cost of now, a person who is now healthy wrote a gift document giving all his property to others, and it was not written in a document that the giver was a seriously ill person. Then there was an argument between the giver and the people to whom the gifts were given. The giver says that he was seriously ill when he wrote the document, but now that he recovered, the gift should be invalid. But the people who are named in the document, they say that he was healthy when he wrote the document, and therefore the gift should still be kosher, valid. Sarich lahavi raya in such a case, the giver must prove that he was seriously ill when the gifts were given. This is according to the mayor, according to him, since right now the person is healthy, we assume that he was healthy when the gifts were given, unless he can prove otherwise. So therefore, the gifts are valid unless he can bring witnesses who testify that he was indeed seriously ill at the time they give the gifts. The Chachamim said the burden of proof rests upon the one who wishes to take away from this fellow. Since the giver is one holding the property, and the servants want to take it from him, they must prove that the gifts were valid. Therefore, if they wish to be rewarded the property, they must bring witnesses that the giver is healthy at the time that the gifts were given. Mishnah Ches. Second. Mishnah Ches. Zion. Sorry. Mishnah Zion. And the Chalik Nechas of Apis, regarding someone who disturbing is distributing his property for a believer. Lezer Omer Echad Bar Echad Besukan. Where Lezer says whether he is a healthy person or a person is in danger of dying, the Chasm Sheish Lenach Rais Nicknin Mekesev Mishtar Ulechazak. His gifts of real estate can be acquired only through money that is, the recipient must give money to the owner or through a document or through an act of chazaka. And his gift of movable objects is not acquired unless the recipient performs a kinyan of mashicha upon them. According to Eliezer, the Chacham did not make any special decree allowing a seriously ill person to transfer his property verbally, and his gifts are valid only if a kinyan is made to acquire them. Just like the gifts of a healthy person. Amrullah, the Chacham said to Eliezer, Iman Shel B'nei Rachel Shehaya Chola. But was there not an incident with the mother of the sons of Rachel? Rachel is the name of the father, according to the Rashbam, who was seriously ill. Amra Tenu Kivinasi Leviti Vihi Bishneva Semana. And she said, give my brooch to my daughter. It was worth 12, it was 12 mana, the Mesa, and she died without giving the brooch to her daughter. Vakimo Estimareha. And the Chachamim upheld her words and gave the brooch to the daughter after her mother died. Does this not does this not prove that the verbal gift of a seriously ill person is valid even if no kinyan is made? Amalahem, let's reply to them, B'nai Rochel Tikbarem Iman. You seek to bring proof from the sons of Rochel, let their mother bury them. The sons of Rochel were wicked people, and therefore the Chachamim penalized them by taking the brooch from them and giving it to their sister, although she was really not entitled to get it. The Chachamim say, the Shabbos Devar Kayamin. If a seriously ill person distributes his property verbally on Shabbos, then his words stand even if no kinyan is made, because he is not able to write a document on Shabbos. According to the Chachamim, the decree that the verbal gift of a seriously ill person is kosher was only stated when the ill person is unable to transfer it in a normal way with a document. And in such a case, the Chachamim were concerned the person would be worried that he would die before being able to write the document, and his health would be affected by this anxiety. And therefore, decree that a verbal gift is valid on Shabbos. During the week, such a gift is not valid because the verbal gift does not work when the ill person is able to transfer the property in a regular way with the kinyan. Rabbi Yeshua says with Shabbos that if they said that a verbal gift is valid even on Shabbos, when it is not even possible for the sick person to transfer the property with the kinyan, and certainly the gift should be valid during the week, and he does have the ability to transfer with the kinyan. Rabbi Yeshua holds that the Chachamim allowed an ill person to transfer his property verbally when he is unable to transfer it in any other way, then they surely will allow him to do so when he has other ways to transfer the property. Similarly, the Chachamim said that one may acquire an object for a minor who cannot legally acquire it for himself. The Ein Zachel Nagadol. But one may not acquire an object for an adult, since the adult has the ability to acquire the object for himself. The Chachamim hold that no one else can do so for him. Rabbi Yeshua says, the Katan Amru Kal V'Chomer the Gadol. Now, no, if they said that one can acquire objects even for a minor who does not have the ability to do so for himself, then certainly one can acquire objects for an adult who can acquire them on his own. Now we go to Mishnah Ches. Nafal Abayis Allah the house class first he class Ruvain and his father Yaakov. Oh, Allah Mauritius, or on a person on Ruvain and someone who would give him a Yerusha, meaning his brother Shimon. Both people were killed. We do not know which of the two died. And Reuben had upon himself the chiyuv to pay the ksuba of his wife as well as another creditor, but left no property in his estate to pay these obligations. So his father's estate or his brother's estate, however, did contain property. So the following machlokas came up. The heirs of the father said, that the son, the Reuven died first, and the father Yaakov died afterwards. Therefore, the property of the father never entered the possession of the son and his wife and creditors have no claim upon it. Rather, we should receive it as the father's heirs. But the creditors, including the wife, say, if the father died first and the son died afterwards, and once the father died, his property entered the possession of the son. We therefore have the right to take it as payment for the debts that we are owed. Vishamai Omrim Yachloku. Vishamai say they divide the property, since it's not known which the two relatives died first. Each of the two sets of claimants have an equal claim to the property. Therefore, the creditors collect half of what they are owed. Hillel Omrim Nechasim B'Cheskasim. Hillel say the property remains in its presumed status. Since the disputed property originally belonged to the father, then the presumption was that when he died, it would go to his heirs, and the creditors can claim that they are entitled to collect from the property. In order to do so, they must prove that the father died first, and since they cannot do so, all the property is awarded to the heirs of the father. Mishnah tests. Nafala bias level ishta. If a house fell on a person and his wife, claiming them both, it's not clear which one died first, then this suffix causes another machlokus regarding the properties of the wife. Yarsheh Bal Amrim. The heirs of the husband, meaning his sons from another wife, they claim the wife died first and the husband died afterwards. Therefore, the husband inherited the wife when she died, and her property now belongs to us. We are the husband's heirs. Yarsheh Isha Amrim, but the heirs of the wife, meaning her father or her sons from another marriage, they claim Habal Isha, that her husband died first and the wife died afterwards. Therefore, the husband never inherited his wife's property, and now belongs to us, so we are her heirs. Okay, Yachloku Beishamai said that the heirs of the husband and the heirs of the wife divide wife's properties, since it's not known who died first. Both sets of heirs have equal claims to the state. They each receive half. They say that some barzal properties remain in the presumed status. The ksuba remains in its proper status, in its previous status, meaning belong to the heirs of the husband. Since the husband certainly was in possession of the ksuba property up until the time that the accident took place, the properties that enter and leave the marriage with her remain in their previous status as belonging to the heirs of the father, which is another way of referring to the heirs of the wife. And the last Mishnah for today, Mishnah Yud. To Nafala al Ima. A house collapsed on a person and his mother killed them both. We do not know which one died first. So the mother is not married at the time of the accident. The son who died was with her was her only child. The mother's estate is claimed by two sets of Yorshim. Yorshim of the mother, meaning her father or siblings. They claim that the son died first, and then the mother, so that the son did not inherit the mother before he died. Therefore, they should receive her property. The heir, but the heirs of the son, meaning his half brothers from the same father and from different mother, they claim on the other hand that the mother died first, and that the son, and then the son, so that the son inherited his mother's estate before he himself died. So both these and these, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, agree that in this case they divide the mother's estate, since they both have both claims of both sides have equal claims. Then there's no reason to consider the mother's estate as having been in possession of either one. Even Beis Hillel agree that they divide the estate equally. Amar Rabbi Akiva disagrees, and he says, "Moda ani bazesh and lechasav b'chaskasin." I agree. I agree that in this case too, Beis Hillel will argue with Beis Shammai and rule that the property remains in its presumed state of belonging to the heirs of the mother. Rabbi Akiva reasons that while the mother was alive, she and her estate were in the presumed state of belonging to the tribe of her father. That's enough to give the advantage to her heirs who are from her father's family, unlike the heirs of her son who belong to the tribe of their father. Therefore, Rabbi Akiva holds in this case, Beis Hillel would not divide the estate, but would rather award to the heirs of the mother. Amallah ben Azza says to Rabbi Akiva, Allah chalukin anu mistarin, Allah shebasa lachal alinu es a. We are already pained by the cases in which we know that they argue, and now you come to make them argue when they seemingly would agree, telling us that they argue in this case. Be'asa agrees with the first Tana that Beis Hillel did not argue in this case, and would agree that the mother's estate is divided equally by the two sets of heirs. That's all for today. See you tomorrow as we finish up our Basra. Have a wonderful day.